Hello and welcome to another Arkeys video, and this time we're having a look at the newly added 2 million credit time trial challenge on Nürburgring Nordschleife, and we are in the also newly added Honda Civic. And this is my first impressions video. Normally I do just an hour just to feel out the combos, but this is a very long track, and if you go off track limits your lap gets invalidated, so I needed some more time for this. So I did some Thursday night runs also in VR just to get the feel of it, and this is from Friday morning where I went back in and did the lap I'm going to run through in this video. So let's just get straight into this one. And as we come up towards the start finish line, I would just like to say that this car is actually fairly easy to drive. Yes, it's on sports hard tires, it doesn't have that much grip, but it's also front wheel drive, so it is fairly easy to manage as well. We're coming into the first corner, and I'm using the orange bit of the barrier as a reference down to second gear, letting the car coast around the corner up to third gear, and we can get a run out of here. Here you can either stay in fourth gear or try to upshift into fifth gear. You might need a small lift to not run wide on the exit. And here we're coming into a tricky braking zone. You sort of had to break it into two because you also want to shift the weight towards the right hand side to get a good run around here. And here I'm just staying in third gear because then you can keep some weight on the front tires. I might have been using a bit too much curb, I don't know. Same thing here, staying in third gear, and you are in a front wheel drive car, so it's safe to just floor it coming out of there. In a rear wheel drive car it's easier to spin, and we're coming up towards this fast left-hander, and a dab on the brake and then just let the car coast so you can meet that second apex as well and get on the power out of here. This is not a perfect lap, I'm well aware of that, but I'm just trying to do a safe lap and also as fast as possible for me at least. Here I am going to downshift into fifth gear, small dab on the brake, and then just make sure the car stays on the inside, so it's so easy to run wide. Braking and down to third gear around this corner. Be patient, and now we are coming through this fast bit. We're going downhill, we are gaining a lot of speed, and as we come up towards the hill we're coming through Adenauer Forst, a really tricky section. I am using the curb sort of shortly after that starts, down 2 gears, down to fourth gear, slow down further down to third gear, make sure to keep the car to the right hand side, down to second gear so you can swing over to the left hand side, stay to the left hand side so you have some room to swing over back to the right hand side. A bit too much curb, and you can see that compromised my exit there. If you can take a bit less curb through the last corner, that's definitely better. Here I'm looking for the brighter part of the barrier on the right hand side. A tiny dab on the brake down to fourth gear, just let the car coast through the corner, and here I almost overcook it. You can see I'm coming in a bit too hot there and compromised my run through that corner, but we kept it going. And all the way down to third gear, don't turn in too early because then you will get a poor run out of there. That was okay. And here through this fast left to right hander, I'm just trying to keep it cool, and now we're coming towards miss, hit, miss, and I accidentally almost hit the first apex as well, and it's going to compromise my exit slightly because my entry was a bit too narrow. Here you have to sort of break a two-step braking zone. Make sure you don't turn in too narrow, you have to make a late apex there. And we are getting out of there, coming down the hill, and as it is downhill, make sure to brake early. I'm braking just before the curb ends on the right hand side. I was almost coming in a bit too hot. Now up the hill I try to almost just let the car coast into this uphill corner, then the car will sort of sort itself out. Now we're coming up towards the final right hand corner before the long uphill flat out bit. I'm looking for the black marking on the road there as a braking reference, and I'm trying to do as late as an entry into this corner, because if you turn in too narrow you'll get a bad run up the hill, and we're going flat out for quite a bit now, so you want to get a good run out of there. As mentioned, this car is fairly easy to drive. Just remember it's front wheel drive, so when you're coming out of a corner, just let the car settle in before you just slam on the power to prevent too much understeer. The car actually is fairly easy to keep on the track. And now we're coming up towards this fast left-hander. I'm using the start of that sort of tarmac bit where the grass ends as a reference down to 4th gear, just letting the car coast through that corner so you can get back on the power. And this is still just flat out. You can go flat out through this corner as well. Almost, I lifted a bit, and braking shortly before the curb on the left hand side. Also here, make sure you're not turning in too early, because you want a good run. This corner feels very similar to the previous left hand corner before the long uphill straight. Now the carousel, I messed this up. I'm going in too close to the edge, and you can just see the ghost running away because I was scared I would jump out of the carousel, so I was really slow and the ghost is just running away. Here we can sort of stay flat out for a bit, and here I'm using the curb as a reference to get down a gear, and I'm taking too much of the curbs here. You can see it's unsettling the car. The curbs are really steep here, so try to take less of them than I'm doing. Again, remember, this is not a perfect lap. This is just my rundown of my best attempt so far. It is a work in progress. Coming down the hill, make sure you don't get too much speed, because then you will end up in the wall, most likely on the left hand side there. Make sure to brake here. You're coming over a crest, and it's easy to run wide here as well. Now we're coming through YouTube corner in a moment. Down the hill, I think I'm just staying in 3rd gear. Make sure to just let the car coast around, making sure I'm not too eager on the throttle. Same goes for up the hill. Maybe I'm a bit too eager. Yeah, you can see I'm struggling a bit on the exit. Here, don't cut the left hand side, but you can cut a huge bit of the right hand side. You can see that I was basically on the limit there. Now we are coming through this flat out bit. Now we're coming over a small jump. I am slightly on the brakes before the jump, so I'm sure I have some weight on the front wheels. Down to 4th gear and just getting around this corner. And now we are coming through a section that really feels like a roller coaster. It's flat out and it can feel a bit scary, especially in VR. And as we're coming towards the end of this, I'm looking for a fence on the right hand side. That's where I want to dab the brakes, get down to 4th gear and let the car coast into this corner. We are towards the end of the lap now, don't want to overcook it. Down to 3rd gear, it's also easy to end up in the gravel on the right hand side there. And now the mini carousel. And I think I am getting too much of the inside there. Yeah, you don't want to go on the grass. You can see the car got a bit wobbly on the exit there. And now this corner, you have to sort of break it into 2 bits. The first bit, and then run as wide as you dare, and then make sure you are meeting this second inside curb, and don't run wide on the exit. The car will never get back on track. Also, the lap will get invalidated with the settings of this one. And now we are just going flat out. I can see that my sector time is looking good for now, so we are going to jump to the final corners and just hope I don't mess them up. So here at the end of the long straight, I'm looking for the end of the curb on the right hand side as a braking marker, just trying to straight line it as much as possible. And now I just want to not overcook it. On one of my previous laps I hit that exact wall on the very last corner. I didn't do that this time, so my final time is going to be a 7:46.455. It's good enough for gold. I'm within the 2%, and I will go back and do this a bit more, because I really am enjoying time trialing at Nürburgring Nordschleife. I hope you enjoyed the video. found it entertaining and maybe even somewhat useful. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you next time. Bye bye.